Good morning everybody and welcome back to another video. Now, a couple things before we get started today. Obviously there has been a change. I am blonde again, also a little bit pink. In a couple weeks time you are going to see the video where I made this happen, but I am filming these things slightly out of order because I haven't had a lot of time lately and because I really wanted to do my hair. So that's that. It's going to be a ride. That video is a lot, so tune in for that one. I think it's coming in about 2 or 3 weeks time. And the pink bit, not intentional. Mark and I did a colour run and where they throw like the paint powders and stuff at you, and it was like the day after I had bleached my hair, so obviously it's stained. That was a lot of fun. Actually, it was a lot of fun. I am going to fix this. I just have not remedied it quite yet. So moving on from that, today's video is a bit of a celebration and a bit of like an advice video. So this week, when this video goes up, is Mark and I's 10-year anniversary. So we will have been together for 10 years. We got together in 2015. It is 2025, so we've made it such a long time. It means we have been married for 4 years as well, because we got married on our anniversary to make it nice and easy. You only have to remember one date. I basically just wanted to make a video discussing just some points of advice that I think are good for people to have when you are in a long-term relationship or when you're looking to enter a serious relationship. Obviously not everybody is going to agree with what I'm going to say, and that is absolutely fine. So the points that I'm going to go through are just my opinion and Mark's opinion, because we did sit down together and brainstorm a few of these and just discuss. Like, I wanted to make sure that he agreed with everything that I was saying, because obviously it's my advice, but it's advice that I have based on our relationship. So something we did together, and I know not everyone's going to agree with it, but that's absolutely fine. This is my opinion and my thoughts, and if you think something different, absolutely a-okay. I do have them written on my phone as per usual because I can't remember a thing, so I am going to be looking down a lot to try and actually read them to you word for word, because I have to kind of pre-think of what I'm going to say. I can't just on the spot. So that's that. This is, I've got 10, so I kind of did, for 10 years that Mark and I have been together, I have thought of 10 years of advice. So 10 years, 10 points of advice. That's my cat. Ready! I call him every time. He is deaf, he cannot hear me. He's going to be meowing a lot because he's just in a mood this morning where he wants to play with chicken, and that's how he makes her come and find him, is by meowing like that. Probably pretty loud, so you're probably going to hear him a lot because he just walks around the house meowing until she comes and finds him. So that's that. Okay, so I'm no expert, but here are my 10 pieces of advice or things that I have learnt while being in a relationship for 10 years. Okay, so number one, and Mark and I both agreed that this one is probably for us one of the most important ones, if not the most important thing. And it's that when you enter a partnership or a serious relationship, there's no longer a mine and a yours, especially when it comes to money. So for us, all debts, troubles and challenges are yours to share and combat as a team. So remember, it's the two of you versus the problem, not you two and the problem as well. So it's something that I see really, really commonly, and obviously everyone is going to handle things different in their relationship, but my piece of advice is I have noticed that when couples keep everything entirely separate, it sort of doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not telling you that you have to combine your money and you have to combine every aspect of your life. I'm just saying that in my perspective, it's a lot easier when you do. So not necessarily the money thing, but even if you're dealing with something emotionally, if you're dealing with maybe like a troubling friendship or issues at work, it's a lot easier to feel like you have someone. If your partner is like, how can I help you? How can we combat this together, you know? And then even when you're paying for things, I think it adds just like a level of stress to the relationship if it's always, well, I paid for this so you need to pay for that, or oh, this is a big purchase and we need to make sure we split it directly in half, you know. I think things like that just add a level of strain to the relationship that is so easily removed if you just look at everything as if you are one unit. Now, especially if you're getting to the point where you're going to marry this person, like you're going to change if you're a woman, you're probably going to consider changing your last name. You are becoming a family, you're becoming one, you know, and that's kind of the essence of what I think a long-term relationship or a partnership is. So you see a lot of people get married and their vows, and they celebrate, you know, becoming one, becoming a family, becoming a unit, and then don't necessarily act like it. So I'm not saying that you have to, obviously. I'm not saying that it's the best course of action. I'm just saying that in my experience, when we stopped thinking of things as this is mine and that is yours, and this is your responsibility, this is my responsibility, you owe me this, you owe me that, everything became so much clearer and so much easier to manage, because it's just one problem and you've got two people to handle it together. Number 2 is that arguments are not about who is the loudest. So you need to listen to each other and only talk when you're both calm. It's okay to take 30 minutes to de-escalate and reset in order to discuss things with an open mind. Now this is a big one for us. Mark and I, get it boy. Mark and I are both people who will openly admit that we have tempers. Like, I know it takes me a lot to get angry, but when I get angry I am likely to explode. So I do everything in my power all the time to handle that. Basically, I don't like getting angry. I very, very rarely get angry because I know what I'm like when I'm angry, and Mark is the same. So really big thing for us is that when we are having a discussion or maybe a bit of an argument or a disagreement, we both come at it completely calm. It's an open conversation. You're there to listen to the other person and understand what they're feeling. You're not just there to get your point across. It's not about yelling or being the loudest or making them 100% agree with you all of the time. It is important that you understand each other's perspectives and that you're listening to one another, but you need to realize that a lot of the time in arguments, it's not even necessarily about one person being right. A lot of the time there is no I'm right, you're wrong, and even if there is, it's not about pointing that out. It's about understanding each other. So if you need to take a minute and say, hey, I'm getting really, really upset and this is not constructive to this conversation, let me go and calm down for 30 minutes and then I'll come back and we'll talk about it calmly together. I think that's a massive, massive thing in a relationship. Number 3, and this might be the first sort of like, hello? This might be the first sort of like controversial one, I suppose, is that it's okay to have secrets. Okay, so you are always entitled to your privacy as a person. As long as it's nothing relationship destroying or harmful to yourself and others, your partner does not have to know everything that goes on inside your head. And this was a big thing for me to learn personally. We went through a stage where Mark had a lot on his mind, he had a lot to deal with, you know, and I thought that, you know, I can help if I just know what's going on. And I think that's a lot of what people feel, you know, I just want to help, I just want to be there, I want to support, and how can I do that if you're not going to tell me what's going on? But you need to remember that everyone is entitled to their privacy. You don't need to tell someone what you're thinking 24/7, and if there's something that you're dealing with that you want to keep private, you are 1000% entitled to do that. You can always do that. As long as it's not, you know, life-changing, destroying, harmful, as long as it's not a secret like I'm cheating on you, like, no. You are allowed to keep your thoughts and things that you are dealing with and things that you're going through private if that's what you prefer. That's literally it. It can be very hard to learn, but you get there. Number 5, communicate. Talk to your partner. Don't let little issues become big issues because you're scared of nagging. That's a big thing that happens in relationships, right? People always say, oh, you're nagging me. Ask each other about their day every day and actually listen, to be invested in what they're telling you. Be interested in your partner. And I know that sounds really silly because, again, when you're in your first year or two, you want to know everything about them. You're always around them, you're always with them. But as a relationship develops and becomes more long-term, it's very, very easy to kind of get a bit flippant with each other. You know, you might not want to hear about their day at work. Maybe you've had a really stressful day and you don't want to talk to anyone right now. But it's so important to just be open with your partner. And when they're telling you something, actually listen, and listen to understand. Don't just listen to reply. Two very, very different types of listening. It's all about just being open all the time. And sometimes that is like an active thought that you have to have, because like I said, you know, it gets very easy to get caught up in everyday life and you forget that you have to put effort into these things sometimes, because you don't even want to listen to the thoughts that are in your head. You might be so overwhelmed with how your day or how your week is going that all you want to do is have horizontal time and cease to exist for a little bit. But if your partner comes in excited to tell you something, or if they come in saying, hey, I have an issue and I really need to talk about it with you, you have to make time to communicate with your person. Number 6, relationships are not always 50-50. You're not always going to be able to give your best or give your everything to the relationship, sort of like what I was just talking about. Sometimes other things in life just happen, and that's okay. So a lot of people see relationships, and this kind of goes back to the first one as well with the mine and yours and separate. So a lot of people see relationships as I give 50, you give 50. We all have to give equal amounts to this relationship for it to work. And sometimes, absolutely yes. But sometimes it's just not going to be able to work like that. So there's a little bit of push and pull that needs to happen in a relationship. So, you know, if you are in a really toxic work environment, or if you're having issues with your family and your friends and that's really, really draining you, it can become the biggest thing in your life. It can be your biggest focus, you know, and that's okay. It just means that you might not have your 50% or your whole to put into your relationship. So that is when your partner needs to step up and meet you. And I'm not going to say meet you halfway, because that's the whole thing. It's not about being 50-50. Sometimes if I'm struggling with my mental health and that is my biggest thing, is just trying to get through the day, I don't have a 50% to put into my relationship. I might only have 10. But that's okay. Mark's going to step up and he's going to give me that 90% we need to make sure our relationship is still solid and still chugging along, you know. And it's the exact same. Maybe Mark's had a really, really horrible week at work, or maybe something's happened and, you know, he's just not in the best mind space. Maybe he's only got 30% to direct towards me in our relationship right now. That's okay. I'm going to meet him at that 30 and I'm going to give the 70 we need to continue through. So it's about push and pull. It's about giving where your partner can't and accepting help when you need it. Please don't knock that off. Jeepers. It's so funny, really. Number 7, another potentially controversial one. This does come with a disclaimer, okay? So listen up. Don't vent your struggles and arguments to your friends and family. Now, I want to make it very, very clear that I mean this as like your day-to-day frustrations. I do not mean this if there's anything serious going on, if you're in any sort of like violent or abusive situation, if it is anything really important, anything that is putting you in danger, please make sure you are reaching out to someone, a friend, a family, a helpline, someone. So important, okay? What I'm meaning by this statement is if you come home from work and you asked your partner to fold the washing and he didn't do it, and it makes you so angry because that's the one thing I asked you to do today and you couldn't get it done, you don't need to go venting that to your friends and family. Because in an hour or two, that's not going to matter to you anymore. You're going to have moved past it. It's just going to be a small frustration, you know? But your family and friends aren't. So if you vent to them every time you get frustrated and you're calling your partner lazy, they don't listen to me, they don't do enough around the house, you know, that kind of thing, that is going to alter their perception of your partner forever. When it's things that don't even matter, or things that might matter for a day or a week, you know. If it's something small like that, it's just a general frustration, I don't think you should be venting that to people, because like I said, to you it's inconsequential. It's just a vent. You know, when you get mad at work or mad at a friend and you vent to somebody else, but then 2 hours later you're like, oh, I felt better, I just needed to get that out of my system, thanks. That's what I'm talking about. You should not be doing that to your friends and family, because if you do that once a fortnight for 6 months, it's not going to matter to you, because all of those things were so inconsequential and small that they're all forgotten. But all your family and friends are hearing about for 6 months is you complaining about this person. how much they don't do around the house, how much they don't listen to you, how much they don't necessarily respect you, how angry they make you, and that's going to change their perception of that person permanently. So I try very, very hard, and I know Mark does too, that whenever we speak about the other person in public or to anyone, it is only ever their positive points, because, you know, I'm not in a space where I'm threatened or anything's going wrong or I need to speak to anyone because I'm unsafe in my relationship. Yes, we get frustrated with each other, but that's my problem. That's our problem. If I'm frustrated with Mark, I'm going to tell Mark. I'm not going to go and tell my best friend and have her be like, yeah girl, fuck him. Like, no, because I don't want them seeing him like that, because I know he's a good person, and that's how I think that everybody should communicate about their partners. These next two are actually Mark's ideas, so, and I 100% agree with them. So number 8 is, love isn't always a feeling, it's a choice. So sometimes love can be hard. It's hard as fuck sometimes, okay? Let's be real. You can go through patches where you feel distant with your partner or angry or life is just getting in the way, but you need to remember that you love them, and sometimes that means actively putting in effort to work on the relationship and keep it alive. Okay, so this is about sort of what I've talked about throughout the whole video. You still have a life, and as you become more of an adult and grow into your responsibilities, they're going to become bigger. You're going to have more to think about, more to do. You know, if you have children, Mark and I don't, so I can't speak too heavily on the subject, but, you know, if you have a child, they're a big responsibility. They take up a lot of your time, a lot of your brain space, and so it's very, very easy to forget, you know. So it's very easy to see people turn around and go, oh, I just fell out of love. You know, like a lot of times when people cheat or they break up, I think you hear that, I just fell out of love. And that's why we think that love is a choice. You wake up every day, especially when you're in a long-term relationship, and you make that choice to continue loving that person. Like, I don't think that falling in love is a choice. I think falling in love is a beautiful, magical thing, but once you've had that initial moment of you've fallen for this person and it's magical and you're in the honeymoon phase, you wake up every day making the choice to continue loving and dedicating your life to that person. So it's a choice. It's hard work. It can be frustrating, but you know, it is what it is. And as long as you want the relationship to work and you're both actively in that headspace of making it work and choosing each other and putting each other first, it's going to. It's not about perfection. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. There's absolutely not. And if anyone tells you that there is, they're fucking lying. I'm sorry, but that's my opinion. No relationship, nothing on this earth is 100% perfect all the time. It's just not possible. But in a relationship, you're not asking for perfection. You're asking to be present. Number 9, this is another one of Mark's, and he said that this one is really important to him, and I agree, but I just didn't think of it, so this is why I asked him to help me with this video. He chose consistency. So what he means by that is setting the bar of expectation that works for your relationship, and then retaining that bar of expectation throughout time. So it's easy to become roommates. I think you hear that a lot as well as the, oh, I just fell out of love. It's, I just feel like we're roommates. We just coexist next to each other. There's no romance left. There's no spark left, you know? So that's what he's meaning by that, is picking that bar of expectation quite early in your relationship and then working to continue at that level as you grow together. So the way that we do that is we pick something to do together on a regular basis. So that might be, you know, going out on a date night, going out to dinner, spending time just us. Sometimes it's doing a hobby together. It's not even necessarily the same hobby, but it's doing our hobbies in the same space so that we're spending time together. And quite often it is just something like going for a walk together. We put our phones down, or actually sometimes we don't because we play Pokemon when we go on walks. But you know, it's not having that outside interference and just having even 10 minutes to spend with your focus directly on the other person. Quality time. It's not that hard, you know? And he also wanted to mention an easy way to kind of maintain that bar is doing things regularly that you know they appreciate. So for him, it's cooking a meal. He loves cooking, and I hate cooking. And I find it really difficult to cook all the time, and I love food. So he knows that if he cooks dinner, I'm going to really, really heavily appreciate that. He cooks dinner 99% of the time in this house. I hate cooking. And it's been like that for a while. He loves to cook. I help him all the time. That's another thing we do. I know that Mark loves to cook, but he doesn't love to cook every night. And he knows that I hate to cook, but I don't mind as much if someone's there to help me. So we do it together, or he does it, and he knows how deeply I appreciate that. Or it's like if they have a space in the house that's their space, if you keep that tidy for them, you know, if you go out of your way to, maybe if you see that it's a mess one day, go and clean up that space for them. They're going to come home and think, they know how important this space is to me, and they went out of their way to make it nice for me. You know, it's small things, it's little things. It's not all about grand gestures and being overly romantic and doing it for everybody to see. It's just doing something that you know your partner's going to appreciate. You know, it's not that hard to make people feel wanted and understood and loved, I don't think. This is the last one, and I actually got this piece of advice from my dad, and it was very, very early in our relationship. I think Mark and I hadn't been living together for that long. We were still quite young. It's probably only 20, 21 at max, and my dad had come over for a coffee, and I was doing some washing and stuff, and Mark had folded the towels for me, because we do clothes and towels. They were all just sort of sitting there, so I was going to start on the clothes, and I got so frustrated that Mark didn't fold the towels in the way that I like them folded. Because I'll be very, very honest, I used to be an exceedingly like uptight person. I was one of those people. I've worked on it a lot, worked on myself a lot. This video is not about that, but please don't judge me too harshly. I did used to be a bit of an asshole, but we've had self-development since then. I got really frustrated that he hadn't folded the towels in the way that I liked. So I was having a little bit of a vent to my dad. Again, so much growth as a person in the 10 years that we've been together. I was having a little vent to my dad while we had our coffees, and said, oh, you know, I'm so frustrated. He always folds the towels like this, and I always fold him, tell him that I don't like them folded that way. And my dad said, but he's trying. That's literally it. And it kind of clicked something in my head that, no, the towels aren't folded the way that I like them folded, but he's trying. He's done a part of the chores to help me out so that I don't have to do the entire thing myself. And it did kind of make that a moment of realization for me. And I've carried that ever since. Like, my dad told me that probably almost 8 years ago now. And every time that I get frustrated in my life, not even necessarily with Mark, if something's not done the way that I wanted it done, or something like that, I calm myself down and have a moment to myself, and I say, they're trying. Because imagine how frustrated you would be if they hadn't tried at all. Like, what if I had come into the lounge that day and nothing had been done? Then I would have been ridiculously frustrated that, oh, I asked you to do one thing and you couldn't even do it, you know? So it's just remembering things like that. They're trying, and you need to appreciate the fact that they're trying, because they might be doing their absolute best. And because that doesn't reach your standards, that's not their fault. They're still trying. So the more that people try and put effort into things and you don't appreciate them for it or don't recognize it, eventually they're going to stop trying. And then you're going to have a big problem in your relationship, because you're going to say, I don't feel listened to, you don't do anything. But they were doing something, and you were telling them that it was wrong. So why would they continue doing that thing if they know they're going to get chastised for it? So it's just appreciating them, taking a moment to recognize that, hey, this might not be quite right, or this might not be what I was hoping for, but they're trying. That one, if you can't tell, is so, so important to me. It is probably, it's so small, like it's literally just 2 words, they're trying, but it's probably like the biggest thing that helped me make changes in myself in regards to my relationship. Because obviously, like I said in the start of the video, Mark and I were very, very young when we got together, 18 and 19. So we had a lot of growing to do as people, as well as together in a relationship. So pieces of advice like that, I wanted to leave it till last, because it's like my ultimate 10th piece of advice, even though it was probably the first thing I learned in our relationship that really made significant changes. So just remember, and it comes from you too, you're trying, they're trying. Now I just want to take a second, because if it is my anniversary, it also means that it is my brother's anniversary, because their wedding anniversary is 2 days after mine. We did celebrate all together last year when we went to Rarotonga, so that was really, really special. They obviously have been together and married far, far longer than Mark and I have, but I just wanted to take a second and say happy anniversary to two of my favourite people on the planet, because when I was growing up and when I was looking for, you know, like a boyfriend or a relationship or getting into relationships, they were the people that I kind of like held my standard to. I don't know if that makes sense. This is why I write things down, because I'm not very good at saying things on the spot, but like I think when I was looking for and developing relationships, the way that I modeled myself and who I met and who I was with was off my brother and his wife. I think, like I said, no relationship is perfect, and it's never ever going to be, but I think they just have the most wonderful relationship that I just want it, you know? Like, they've been together since I was so young. I think, oh god, I was probably like 11 or 10 even. I don't know, but really young. They've been together for like the majority of my life. And I just think they're wonderful people. You can see how they interact with each other and they force the best out of each other, and I'm just not going to talk about it too in depth because I get emotional, but I just love you both so much. Yeah, so happy anniversary to my brother and his beautiful wife, because you are two of my favourite people on the entire planet, and I'm so lucky that not only does my brother have someone that makes him so happy, but like I have another sister and she's absolutely wonderful. So it's definitely, for me, I have so much love and I don't know what to do with it. Moving on from that, the last thing I wanted to put in this video was just a bit of a message for Mark, and I think this is funny because I know he does not watch my videos. And that's fine. I kind of would prefer that he doesn't, because I'm always home and I don't like listening to myself coming from like someone else's. I hate listening to my videos back. Like, editing them is the last time I see them, and then I never ever watch them again because I hate hearing the sound of my own voice. So I did want to leave a message for him here, one that he will probably never ever hear, so it's absolutely fine. I can say whatever I want. But the issue is that I know I'm going to get super emotional about it, so we're just going to do our best. I'm going to cover my face so that you can't see what I look like, and I'm going to put some photos on the screen of Mark and I throughout our relationship, and just kind of use the moment to enjoy our 10 years together, because 10 years is an amazing accomplishment, you know? Like, even from 18 to 28, to me that's absolutely crazy. We are almost at the point where I have known Mark and been with Mark for longer in my life than I existed without him, and I just think that's so magical and so nice. So I'm gonna do my best. Please forgive me if I do get emotional. I will get emotional. There is a very, very good reason that Mark and I did not do vows at our wedding, and it's because both of us are just, we're very emotional people. And a lot of people won't see that in Mark, because Mark is very, very private about his, whereas I'm the opposite, and I could not stop myself crying in a hostage situation if my life depended on it. So we're just gonna do our best here. To the love of my life. This May, we're going to celebrate 10 years of our lives spent together. Breaking it down into perspective, you could say we spent 3 years as boyfriend and girlfriend, 3 as fiancés, and now 4 as husband and wife. Even more wild would be saying we've spent 120 months together, or 3,650 days. We met as teenagers and are now preparing to enter our 30s together, but these 10 years of life have been filled with so much more than either of us could have expected. We've bought a house, we've adopted 2 cats, we lived through a global pandemic, and moved to a new country to start our lives completely fresh after doing all of that. We spent months glued together to work through sicknesses, and 9 months apart to make the best choices for our future. All these years later, you're still the best choice I've ever made in my life. All these years later, you are still the best choice I've ever made in my life. You're kind and funny, hardworking and passionate, adventurous and encouraging, and you push me to be all of these things too, as well as the best version of myself every single day. I, because of you, know who I am as a person, as well as who I am as a wife and a partner. I think I would definitely not be who I am today if I had not met you, and I feel so incredibly lucky to be not only your wife, but the person who gets to see you grow and develop as a person as we go through our lives together. I think you are genuinely one of the best, kindest, most compassionate, loving, caring people I have ever met. And I know that you're never going to watch this, but I think it's so important for the world to know how much I love you and how much I appreciate you and how genuinely lucky and blessed I feel to have you in my life every day. Some days we can definitely be annoying as fuck to one another, but there is absolutely no one else in my life that I would pick to drive me crazy if it wasn't you. I think me and the cats love you so much, and I'm so proud of the little family that we've made and the life that we've built, and I'm just really excited to spend not only the next 10 years with you, but the rest of my life and the rest of forever, because even when we're both dead, I am gonna hunt you down and haunt you. That got really weird really quick, but that's how I feel. So yeah, that's my video. It's my little tribute to my husband. You can definitely tell that I cried a little bit in there. I'm also losing my voice really badly, so we're getting some sick vocal fry in there. But it's fine. I hope that someone learned something from this video. You know, if it's one person found one thing to take away into their everyday life, that's all I really want. I hope that you enjoyed hearing my little pieces of advice. If you have any advice, please leave them in the comments, because as people we are always learning and always growing, and my intention is to grow and learn something every single day if I can. So I would love to read what your tips for long-term relationships are. If you are in a long-term relationship, why don't you let me know in the comments how long you've been with that person and maybe a piece of advice for me, because I love. If anyone knows me, I love love. I love weddings. I love seeing people in love. It's such a big thing for me. So please share your happiness with me. It would make me very happy. Again, I want to say happy anniversary to my brother and my sister, and a happy anniversary to Mark for if he does watch this video when it does come around. I think this year is the year we're finally going to sit down and watch our wedding video. And I know that sounds crazy, but we will be celebrating 4 years of marriage, 10 years together, and we have never ever watched the video that was taken of our ceremony at our wedding. We didn't get a whole video made of the day, we just had a photographer, but we did have them film the ceremony, and we have never watched it. So I think this year that's going to be our thing. That's what we're going to do. I'm really excited to see it, but I'm also like really nervous, even though I was there and I literally know how it went, you know. So yeah, thank you once again for joining me for this video. I hope that you learnt something. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it made you want to follow me, because I do want to make more videos like this in the future. Not necessarily like relationship advice, but just kind of life advice in general. I think that I have a lot of thoughts that I want to share, and I think if my thoughts can help even one person, it's 100% worth it for me. So please, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe, and I will see you in my video next week. My hair will not be blonde. That'll be a few weeks coming. Please go look for that video in a couple of weeks time. I'm pretty sure it's 3 weeks. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I will see you next week. I'm now rambling, so I need to go. Bye.